Welcome back.
Ramadan is the month of my ummah. Increase your sadaqah to the communities of the Eastern Cape region of South Africa. A parent's lament due to the poor quality of food. The children wake up hungry in the middle of the night, and this bothers us. At times we feel it would be better if someone adopted them so as to give them a chance in life. Donate your zakah or lillah to our feeding and skill
You know what I'm going to do?
programs.
I'm
Our
going to
skill
try and see if I can
programs
flex
make
this,
zakah recipients
get
independent
Lima
zakah
later,
and allow
and
them
then
to
we
earn
will
with
talk. But
dignity. Phone us
somebody
at
from
041
KZN,
484
Jamiyat.
1288
Just
or
Google
visit
the
our
number.
website at www.alfida.co.za. The Al Fida Foundation, your social investment partner in the Eastern Cape.
Looking to cook delicious meals whilst trying to stay healthy this Ramadan? Try Sunfoil Pro Chef Canola Oil. It's high in omega-3 fatty acids and has a platinum endorsement from the Heart and Stroke Foundation. Sunfoil Pro Chef, the healthier choice. Want to know a secret? You can create delectable treats from your favorite bakery in your very own home this Ramadan. The best bakers know for the perfect decadent treat, they only use Wooden Spoon baking margarine. Wooden Spoon, the magic in baking.
DusiMed Medicine Depot Retail Pharmacy and Emergency Medical Depot. Conveniently situated in the DusiMed Medical Center, Corner Burger and Bosel Street, Pietermaritzburg. We provide safe, affordable and convenient medical facilities. Open till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We have a full house clinic that operates from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is run by a qualified sister. The clinic offers immunization, vaccination, wellness, general consultation, and more. Call DusiMed Medicine Depot on 033 3421 DusiMed Medicine Depot, your pharmacy of choice.
Our efforts continue all through the blessed month of Ramadan.
So our aim is to, inshallah, literally save a few lives in whichever little way.
Thanks to your support, we have provided thousands of people with staple and nutritious food pack supplies, access to fresh and clean water and education supplies, and so much more.
I think it's a lot about the community and our well-wishers.
Penny Appeal utilizes your Fitra donations to help make a difference to the lives of some of the most vulnerable and needy families.
And for that, every single day, we're really thankful for given the opportunity to serve humanity.
We ensure they receive their food packs well ahead of Eid, ensuring that every family we serve benefits from your Fitra contribution. Fidya and or kafara also accepted. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Inspired Afternoons with Marriam Mia, 2 to 4 p.m. on Salam Media. This is Inspired Afternoons.
Welcome back. Indeed, it's Inspired Afternoons, and not only Inspired Afternoons, but educational and empowering afternoons. And today, we're going to be discussing launch of a new product, very, very essential, a Shariah Compliant Life cover as part of the Takaful offering, and also it should be, or we're going to find out if it's available through the brokerage of Amana Takaful as well. So joining us to find out more about this product, as well as for those of you who hear the word Takaful and yes, you know it's Sharia compliant, a form of risk management insurance, but I would like to know more about Takaful. I will also ask our guests just to briefly explain the concept of Takaful as well as risk management in Islamic terms as well. So I'm in good company when it comes to discussing all this, because I'm going to be joined by the chairman of Takaful Bryte South Africa, and that is Mr. Mahomed Akoob, as well as the manager of a Takaful branch of Amana, and that is Brother Noor Muhammad Habib. So let me welcome both the brothers to Inspired Afternoons. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mahomed Akoob.
Walaikum salam, Sister Marriam. It's really indeed a privilege for to talk to you today, and thank you for the invitation.
And Assalamu alaikum, Brother Noor Muhammad.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah, Marriam, for hosting us today.
Okay, so Takaful is not a new concept. I know I was first introduced to the concept of Takaful, I think early 2000s. I've had a long history with the Takaful concept and group. Noor Muhammad is the person that introduced our company and our business in terms of the concept of Takaful, but it goes back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the early trade days of the Arabs, when they used to trade down there. They were exposed to the same hardships and risk we were exposed to. Trade caravans used to be raided, ships used to sink or catch fire. And hence, the early pioneers of the Takaful were wise enough to formulate a system of mutual protection so that members of a particular caravan trade or delegation could be assured of recovery in case they suffered a loss. Sadly, with the fall of the Ottoman Khalif shortly after the First World War, the Muslims, other institutions came to the fore. We see in the West the rise of the traditional insurance companies as we know it today, and that receded until I think 1970s with the revival of the Islamic banking codes in the Middle East, and the modern day Takaful was also then revived. And the first company set up in Sudan in 1979, which then was set up in Bahrain. But Brother Mahomed Akoob, you have extensive experience then being a vital part of the Takaful in Bahrain as well, and in South Africa, in introducing innovative products within the Takaful offerings. So please explain to us in terms of the modern day Takaful.
Shukran, Jazakallah, Marriam. And I think you have succinctly summarized the situation insofar as the Takaful is concerned. But perhaps we just sketch a brief background just for our viewers or listeners. If we look at it in the current situation, today's modern life is very challenging, where human beings face difficulties at almost every turn. So individuals get together and assist when difficulties arise, and help and support is given. The help, however, is not guaranteed, and people have to resort to perhaps pleading or even begging, which can be demeaning. However, to alleviate this problem, and you mentioned that, Marriam, people resorted to contribute towards a pool, and when a member is affected by a loss event, he or she is compensated. The pool or fund belongs to no one in particular, but to the collective, no individual ownership. You've also mentioned the times during the Prophets and even before that, how the caravans used to combine their efforts, and when one caravan was affected by raiders, etc., they were compensated. In fact, there are many hadiths that speaks about pre-planning and sharing amongst the many. Now turning to the Takaful itself. Takaful is a formalized pooling system wherein members contribute to a pool or fund to guarantee each other against a certain eventuality or a loss. And as you've correctly mentioned, in 1979, Takaful companies were introduced in Sudan at that time as an alternative to the conventional insurance, and so that it complies with Sharia rules. In particular, the question always arises, why is it different? Why is it different to conventional? And there are some aspects which we talk about here. The first one is riba or interest, and the second one is al-maisir, which is gambling. These two issues are fundamental to the traits of Islamic Sharia, and these are the items that we want to avoid in Takaful, which are prevalent in the conventional system. Al-Maisir, which is literally means gambling, and if we put it to the conventional insurance, where a premium is paid to the insurer, if there is no loss, the insurer wins. So it's a zero-sum game. Therefore, that is gambling, and that's not permissible. Then we have riba. Insurance conventional companies use the premiums, they invest them in conventional interest-bearing instruments, and then pay out claims. So the claims we get paid have an element of interest. So these two items, and another one is called al-gharar, which is excessive uncertainty. Everything has an uncertainty, but we try and avoid excessive uncertainty in the whole product. So I've just mentioned these fundamental differences which were discussed by the ulama and trying to find solutions to this. This is where the takaful came about. The difference, one other fundamental difference is that in a conventional business, we pay premiums. Whereas in the takaful system, we are actually giving a donation, which is called a tabaru. So therefore, the donation goes into a pool, and whenever there's a loss or an event, monies are paid out to the members who have subscribed to this pool. So it's mutual cooperation, protecting each other. The takaful is not a risk transfer like conventional business, but it's risk sharing. So perhaps with that as a background to takaful, it might give us some understanding that it is fundamentally different from the conventional insurance that we have all been used to. I'm not sure, Marriam, whether that explains a little bit.
No, it does. And for me, very, very important. In Islam, we live by this motto that our actions are judged by our intention. And I think fundamental to the takaful concept is this mutual risk and mutual support. Is everything in Islam, we're there for each other. That is our way of life. When somebody is in a difficulty or has experienced a loss, that's we gravitate to see how we can assist the person. So our intention, whereas with traditional insurance is I'm insuring my possession. So it's me, I. Whereas the intention of a takaful is it's mutual risk. So my fellow brother, should they be inflicted with a difficulty, a loss or something, we pooling our resources together for sharing a mutual loss. And I think intention also is very, very important in terms of takaful. Am I correct in my understanding of this?
Spot on.
Absolutely correct. Marriam, Noor, perhaps, do you want to add before I go?
No. I think Marriam summarized it well again, Jay.
Thank you very much.
I think Marriam, I have to start being an ambassador for takaful, having been, it's now, I think our relationship with this concept of takaful, I think it's close to now almost 18 years that I've ascribed to this in educating myself, because like you say, I've been looking at this. I have researched it, and I feel very strongly about this because it's available. And I was so pleased to hear your latest offering, because both Brother Muhammad and Brother Noor, I think COVID came and also it made us realize our mortality, as well as especially when you're sitting in periods of isolation. If you're COVID positive, when you sit in isolation, you have time to think and you assist the way forward. And also that element of I might not live through this COVID was a reality everybody was faced with. And I think many families and many individuals then decided that, you know what, we all have a life plan, we all have our bucket list. But I think more time has come now, we've realized we need to have a death plan. And that's a reality. There's two realities in life: the day you're going to be born and the day that you will depart from this world. And those are two realities. And as much as we need a life plan, we need a death plan. I uh, I perform ghusls, as well as I'm part of the
Alhamdulillah.
bereavement counseling,
Mhm.
which I've seen through the counseling and the amount of COVID widows, so to speak. And this just happened suddenly. Your spouse was suddenly ill, and 3 weeks later, they passed on. And now I spoke to many, many females who are sitting in a situation now they've never done before. They don't know what rates and taxes to pay, telephone spouses used to pay. There are many expenses, household expenses, which now they are forced to take over. And then with that, the finances, because money is locked up into an estate. An estate takes a year and a half
Long time.
to finalize. What do you do in the interim? And at that stage, I myself researched what could I do in terms of my death plan if something happens to myself or my spouse, for my children as well, not to be put in this position. And sadly, up until today, there was no Sharia compliant offering which I could do. Yeah, there are plenty life and death policies around in the commercial space, Western commercial space, but nothing in the Islamic offering. So please, I'm really, really pleased that there is now the Sharia compliant offering. So I'll start with you, Mahomed Akoob. Firstly, can you explain to us again the intention behind the this type of cover, and also how will it be in terms of practical implementation?
Okay, let's start at the beginning. Firstly, I think we need to define, and you've summarized it in your introduction, Mariam. We differentiate between what you said, a life cover, which is regarded in the conventional sense as insuring one's life, whereas in the Sharia concept, we are insuring the family. So you're not insuring your life. Your life is in the hands of Almighty Allah. Okay. So it's a very fundamental difference, but it's also intent. What are we doing? We are ensuring that the family is covered if something happens, not the death of the person. So it's a fundamental difference. And Sharia uh, and the Quran talks about looking after your heirs and your siblings. Okay, it is not against the Sharia rules to look after your heirs. That's why we have inheritance law, which allows us to provide for our heirs. So in a similar way, we do not talk of a life policy, but we talk of a family policy. So the conceptual framework is also important. Now, coming to this product called Family Takaful. Okay, it is first of all Sharia compliant, as I've explained somewhat earlier, that it is the principles of sharing rather than risk transfer. It is based on the concept of pooling, again, similarly, by what is called tabaru or donations, uh, collecting the premiums in the form of donations and utilizing it when an eventuality happens, like a person dying, and the next of kin is compensated somewhat so that they can go on with their lives. You just mentioned a very fundamental aspect about how long it takes for an estate to be wound up. 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. Even if the family has money, they won't be able to access that. So this policy has within itself looked after a need that is required even in our country. Okay, so that's fundamentally what it is. What is the product actually doing? The product is designed in such a way so that when the person dies, either naturally or as a consequence of an accidental death, that will the policy will immediately pay out to the next of kin, whoever they are nominated within the policy. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second point is that it becomes Sharia compliant and usable immediately. So we are satisfying an important need here. What happened initially, Mariam, in 2018 or 2019, we looked at this and wondered how we could support the South African Muslim population in particular, but not only, but in particular rather than generally. And we said, what is our first needs? And we are all aware of the needs of the poor and the downtrodden, where they have no means when a person passes away. So we devised a policy so that that can help people who are in that area. And that's why we started with a policy with a sum insured of 25,000. Noor will explain a little bit on how the contributions are made, etc. But that was the starting point, so that we could allow people, who are living, within their means and even almost abject poverty, to have a certain amount of money which can carry them on until they are able to support themselves, or where the community can come in via zakat, etc., to support this. In fact, please stop me, Mariam, if we run out of time, because it's important. In fact, whilst I was in Bahrain, I had discussed this with eminent ulama, and on our board we had eminent ulama from Saudi Arabia, from Pakistan, and the UK, all well-respected, well-known names in the Muslim world. And I discussed the point. I said, we also have the utilization of zakat, which we have to give to the poor. Can we use this in a form so that we can extract a policy which they can use? This subject was never discussed before at any levels, and the Sharia board applied their minds to it and actually came up with a solution wherein zakat funds, to a certain extent, can also be used for to support people in need. Of course, there are certain caveats and rules, but the fundamental issue is that we've just unlocked a huge amount of money, which can also be added to the system. So, as I said earlier, we are not insuring the person, but we are insuring the family against eventualities where the breadwinner loses his or her life.
So, Brother Muhammad, again, sorry to interject. So, again, like I said, I think fundamental to Takaful concept is always that intention and your niyyah, as you've mentioned, vital, even, and this product is no different as well. So now, Brother Noor Muhammad, let's just understand practical application. So, how do you, what is the maximum amount that can be put away in this fund, in this product for the family? And I'm sure you have different amounts and different increments. And do you put a lump sum away, or it's a monthly contribution? How is the practical application of the product?
All right. So I just want to add to what Uncle Muhammad said. One of the intentions when this product was started was actually to help ulama, the imams and muezzins of masjids, because we know of cases where the imam passes away, the wife has got nothing. They're stuck in a situation, and so the intention again was to help initially the imams, the muezzins, and also like the madrasa teachers, the appas and that. Going back to your question, so basically the contributions are it starts off at about 21 rands, but this is a group scheme, so it's not yet for individuals. We want it in groups, preferably groups of 10 or more, but we could do a group of 3 as well. So the smaller the group, the higher the monthly contribution. You can do an annual contribution. So let's say it's a group of up to 10. The annual contribution is 250 rand. Or you could do a monthly contribution at 21 rand. Whereas if, let's say, you're a bigger organization, a charity, or even a company, a business can get this for their staff and all their members. Let's say you have a company with over 50 people, then it would be 18 rands a month, or 225 rand annually per individual. So
Brother Noor, I just need to now understand this. So if we are a group of 10, let's say I have a company. So now myself and my staff, we are 10 members. So I pay 18 rand per person. So this will cover. So if let's say one of my staff.
So if it's 10, up to 10, it's 21 rand, right, per person.
Per person, right, per
Yeah.
person. Okay, so
But it's really cost effective.
okay, 21 rand. So this means that if any of the members sadly pass on in that scheme, the scheme will pay out at 21 rand. What will the family then receive in monetary term upon the death of the person?
So 21 rand will pay out 25,000 rand to the family. Your other option is 40 rands a month, which would pay out 50,000 rand. So we have different tiers, and but the two amounts are fixed. It's either 25,000 or 50,000 will pay out. But then the amount you're paying monthly would fluctuate depending on how many staff members there are.
Okay, so it's either a 25 or 50, and thus then each contributing member would probably nominate the family or family members who will receive this, as you do in a conventional sense. So you're going to put this here, and this now will be freely available. So it's not going to form part of the estate, and this is going to be immediately available to the family. I see, Brother Muhammad, you are nodding your head. So this will be immediate, because this is
absolutely. Absolutely, it does not get tied up in the estate. Okay, the money is immediately available upon, of course, within a few days of the person's death, and the company or the individual has reported it. The money is immediately available, so that alleviates a lot of hardship.
Okay, now two questions I need to, because it won't be Marriam Mia if she doesn't put curveball questions in here. So two questions I need to ask. So let's say we've got 10 members there, and then one of the contributing members after 5 years decides, I'm moving overseas or whatever it is, and I don't want to, or if it's the staff member now leaves your employment. What happens then in that case?
It's an excellent question, not necessarily curveball, but definitely a concern. It has to be understood that the way the policy is devised, it's an annual policy, okay? Which means that, let's say you have a company of 10, 9 people continue, 1 has left. The moment the person leaves, the cover ceases for that person. It continues for any contributing member on an annual basis. Okay, this is the important thing. So it's not a formalized life policy which you are obliged to pay and continue. Okay, this is devised in a way that we can support a number of people either in employment or in an informal way on an annual basis. So you are not bound for life for the premiums, but at the same time, if you leave that organization, you're not part of the fund anymore, and that's the end. So it gives you cover almost like a short-term policy, and there are no caveats to it that you are bound. But it is guaranteed that the moment you have a loss, whilst you're a member of the fund, you get paid. Does that sort of answer your question,
Yes,
Marriam?
no, definitely. Okay, then the other thing I need to ask you is, whenever it comes to finances and projections and that, I mean, that's why we have all the actuaries around there. So I'm sure your actuaries as well. 25,000 today, 2021 is good. It probably suffice for a couple of months till the family gets it, depending on your lifestyle and that. 25,000 rand 10 years from now is going to be equivalent to about 10,000 or 15,000. So do you make every year, do you take into consideration that, and that maybe after 3 years, it will probably be a payout of 27,000 rand, and premiums are adjusted, payments are adjusted accordingly. Instead of 21 rand, you need to, or 24 rand, you need to contribute probably 25 rand to, to keep up with the inflation of the time.
Yeah, Marriam, I think you're quite right. The intention when we started this was to launch the product, okay, at the sum assured of 25,000. What we've devised now is that we will leave it to the individual groups to decide what they want, okay? For example, and the way it normally works, so that you just understand that, let's assume a person is earning in the organization, theoretically speaking, 5,000. okay, 5,000 a month. So what we say is that we will be able to cover that person for up to 36 months sum assured. So 12 times 5 is 60,000, 60 times 3 is 180,000. So that organization will say for Miss A, we want cover for 180,000. Then you could have a person who's earning 10,000. That will equate to 360,000. Okay. So the important point is that you, as the individual HR manager or the manager or the managing director of the company, will decide on the basis of your pool how much you want each of your individuals to insure. I mean, I'm giving you just a wider vision. There would be no problem to even cover up to 500,000 or even $1 million. Okay, we have not launched that yet because we just started this thing, but the principle will prevail, and once we're on board, this will happen. And you can adjust it every year.
Yes, I'm really, really excited because I feel this was long time coming, and I'm COVID has many silver linings, and I'm sure with COVID, this was now the catalyst for this project to be eventually launched. So, both challenge to Brother Noor Muhammad and Brother Mahomed Akoob. I am part of many, many empowering groups, female empowering groups. As I've mentioned, I conduct counseling, so I see what's out there. But I think there's a lot more opportunities for other products similar to this, like when I see a female herself, in terms of, besides this cover, uh, like a idda protector or something like this would be similar, but specifically coming to the female and not just the family, in the Islamic space like this. Because I think Islam is unique in a sense that a woman has to observe a idda for a certain period of time, and it's her morning time. And then if you face it all this real world reality and every day taking care of the bills, and it affects your grieving, it affects your mourning, and it affects your idda period. So if there is some kind of idda protector, this will give her cushion for 4 months while she's there. So, families can work out what the monthly household expenses are, and then times that by 4 and something like that, to protect a female during her time of idda, so she can observe her idda with dignity without having to be concerned with then everyday finances, operational expenses, and things like that. So this is just from me working with females, working counseling, being in female empowerment groups. That's some of the challenges in some products to look within an Islamic Sharia space.
Marriam, you're making a very valid point. The point here is that the product will respond to any eventuality. The one you mentioned, for example, we haven't called it as such, but it can be done in that way as well. Okay, all you need to do as the group needs to decide what is the value that they require, and we will respond to that. That challenge will be covered, I assure you. Just to digress aside, I mean, the product has been well developed over the years, and I've seen it working very well in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, North Africa, Middle East. That's the whole of the Middle East. Then we go to Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei. In all those countries, the product has already been developed and it's working. Okay. In fact, whilst I was in Bahrain, we did a scheme for the Malaysian government for the underprivileged, covering 1.8 million people on the similar basis. Okay. And it worked very well. And I'm not trying to advertise for our organization, but we did that 100% whilst we were in Bahrain. So the product is well developed. It has all the caveats. I mean, I'll give you as an aside. Initially, our Sharia scholars were concerned about suicide, just as an example, that, because of the issues around suicide and the Sharia issues, whether we should be covering that as well. And we responded. We responded in a way to say that we will give that cover as well, but we will give a waiting period of 12 months so that the person, is in the scheme for 12 months, and thereafter, if it happens, an unfortunate eventuality like that, we will cover that too. So the cover has been enhanced to cover most almost all eventualities, and it will respond to. I like the term you said, an ITID policy. Why not? It's excellent. We will get Noor and the companies to devise that, but the underlying issue is the compensation that you need. So, I mean, that's if we get further, the Takaful industry is now roughly estimated to be $20 billion worldwide, and in 2 years' time, they estimate at $40 billion. A large proportion of that is family takaful. Now you can well imagine how entrenched these policies have become. And we did a lot of work whilst I was in Bahrain. Alhamdulillah, I was privileged to set up the first takaful company, which is the takaful of takaful, and we did that worldwide. So I'm honestly very confident that this product, through the companies of Noor and various other companies who would be onboarding the clients and selling this product, inshallah, this will be supportive of our Muslim community in particular, and also other communities. And I hasten to add that our local Sharia councils or Sharia boards or ulama have also approved this. So, we are heartened that this development over the last 2 years has happened, inshallah, and it will succeed.
Yes, I'm very encouraged by what you said, because I've been Noor will know I've been badgering him, so to speak. So I'm saying on air every time I meet him, I tell him I was discussing we need to underwrite something like this with a Sharia offering, because it's needed. We have to take this, and as I said before, it's important. As we have a life plan, we need to have a death plan. In the eventually it's going to happen. I know many people feel it's a taboo subject. They don't like to discuss it, but it's important you sit down, especially with your teenage children, and you discuss this in the event that either a parent is no longer, what is the way forward to help them and guide them. Yes, because you're dealing with emotional trauma, but at least if financial trauma, that aspect, there's sort of a plan, there's funds available, they can move on. It makes that emotional and trauma a lot more easier. The psychological aspect, it's easy, because now you're not focusing on the financial aspect, because you've got a buffer there, and that is taken away, so you can reach your processes in your stages of grief much easier when it does this. So I know most, just another thing I'd like to bounce an idea. Many I know Takaful Bryte has offerings here as well, your add-on offerings where like fuel assist and locksmith assist and whatever it is that you have. So maybe with this product here, look at something like you would provide counseling services that comes with this product to the family. So something like that you could. That's from a counselor's point of view, as an add-on product. Marriam Mia's open invitation to both you, Muhammad, at Bryte level, and to Noor Amana, that maybe with this, that you'll provide 2 or 3 counseling sessions aligned to this product for the family, for the bereaved family as well. So just something that you could look at that could be aligned to this product.
You're raising the bar here. I can clearly see that. Okay, but that's the challenge. I just wanted to add that already we've almost or sort of developed a estate duty policy for this as well. Okay, so it's there. Okay, and to add on these additions, of course, it's a challenge, but step by step we'll
but it's a challenge. But I always present a suggestion, and I always present myself as offering a solution there. So
Yes.
I volunteer my time in services as well, in terms of getting this, because I'm passionate about this, and I believe that a product like this is definitely essential and needed in today's day, day and time. Jazakallah so much for your insight and your experience
Thank
and
you.
your wisdom, Brother Mahomed Akoob. And I'd like to thank Brother Noor in my dealings. It was through Noor and his amazing staff at Amana as well that I became so well versed in the takaful offering, the takaful concept that I can speak freely about and explain to people. I hope I did justice and I knew in terms of, you're very knowledgeable. I felt very intimidated. I'm speaking to takaful
No.
specialist, but I hope I've understood the concept of takaful in terms of that because all my education and training came from Noor and all the staff there at Amana.
Don't blame us,
Mariam, I
Mariam.
have to say, you're a brand ambassador for Takaful, no doubt. And through Noor, I'm going to
Alhamdulillah.
ask that Noor uses your expertise as well to further develop this because, this, as I said at the beginning, this is about the community. And the more knowledge that we have and the more input that we get, the better the products we can devise.
Shukran for joining us, and both of you from our family here at Salam Media. We'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all the best for the final days. Today is the 29th night. Inshallah, may we be amongst
Ameen.
those that have observed Laylatul Qadr and get the full blessings of it.
Ameen.
If this be the night of Laylatul Qadr, and also may you have a peaceful, safe, joyous Eid. So Eid Mubarak to both of you, and inshallah we chat to you again
Shukran.
sometime in the future. Shukran for joining us here
Inshallah.
on Salam Media on
Jazakallah.
Inspired
Eid
Afternoon.
Mubarak to you and to the colleagues at Salam Media as well. And please remember us in your duas. Inshallah.
Jazakallah.
Will
Assalamu
do.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. We're gonna go for a short break and then we're talking Palestine. Yes, I'm already clothed. Yesterday I had my Palestinian scarf of flag, and this is special because this I've purchased from a Palestinian brother in the beautiful town of Bethlehem, and these were made in Palestine scarves, not the made in China ones. He had those and they were cheaper, and I asked him what was the difference, and he told me the one I'm having, those are made by Palestinians for the world in support of Palestine. So I'm wearing my scarf all the way from Bethlehem in Palestine. So let's go for a short break and then we're going to be showing our support and speaking about Palestine.